Good evening to you, all of you, and Assalamu alaikum. My name is Hafiz Siddiq. I'm responsible for technical sales support for the decorative segment in Jotun in the MEA region. I'm actually an green ambassador for Jotun, also for this region. So what we are going to discuss today, as already explained to you, we're going to cover up these topics. I'll be just giving you a basic introduction of Jotun paints. Then we will discuss about what is the need for building green. Then we'll touch upon few of the important green building standards being used around the world. Then we will talk specifically about LEED and Jotun's contribution to different LEED credits. Specifying green products to different projects. If you have projects, how to specify is what we are going to discuss. I'm sure at least a few of you, if not all of you, will be knowing about Jotun. Jotun is actually a Norwegian paint company with the headquarters in a city known as Sandefjord in Norway. We have more than 90 years of experience in the paints and coating industry. We are really truly a global player today in paint industry with more than 39 production facilities around the world in almost every continent. We are operating in 100 different countries with more than 10,000 employees working for us. We also have 7 research and development facilities in different parts of the world. So in fact, some of the labs are in this region as well. For example, we have a lab in UAE, then India, Malaysia, Thailand, South Korea, China, and US. Apart from our the head office, we have a huge facility for research and development in Norway. Looking at the presence in the Middle East, we have 9 paint factories in the Middle East, 4 powder factories, and we have 15 companies, sales companies in different countries. And we have actually presence in 41 different countries in the Middle East. We are actually operating in 4 different segments. Decorative paints, which is the segment operating for the buildings, the architectural coatings. And the second segment is marine coatings, which is actually catering to vessels and ships. And the third segment is the protective coating, which is actually catering to the industrial coatings and the steel coatings. And the fourth one is the powder coatings, which is basically catering to the architectural facades and other industrial coatings. What you see in this slide is the completed 20 tallest buildings in the world. Right from the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, the Shanghai Tower in China, the Mecca Clock Tower, and many other projects around the world. Now, if you look at this 20 tallest project, out of the 20, 12 projects are coated with Jotun products. That means we have more than 50% share of the tallest and most iconic projects in the world. We have many iconic projects around the world. Some of the projects within the region, some outside the region. For example, this project, Marina Bay Sands, this is in Singapore, a very well-known building in Singapore. And in the Middle East region, we have Burj Khalifa, then the Louvre Museum in Abu Dhabi, the Dubai Frame, etc. We are truly a single source solution company, single source solution provider, meaning we can cater to all your paints and coating requirements, whether it is steel protection, whether it is intumescent fire protection coatings, whether it is decorative paints, concrete protection coatings, architectural powder coating, floor coating, or even green building solutions. So whatever you need in terms of protecting or using a coating solution in a project, you don't have to search for any other place. Everything what you need can be provided by Jotun itself. Now, this slide shows about our internal Jotun initiative to become more green. There are two reasons why organizations take green or sustainability initiatives. The number one reason is because of regulations. The regulations can be government regulations or other third-party regulations, probably even green building regulations. That is the number one reason. Basically, to get business, you have to meet these regulations. The second reason is a commitment of an organization towards society, towards environment, etc. So this slide talks about this second reason. Jotun is an environmentally and socially responsible company. So without any demand from an external regulatory body, we are taking internal steps ourselves to become more greener, so that the impact of doing paint business is on environment is minimized. We are basically taking 5 steps. The number one step is to reduce VOC emissions. I know, I'm sure you must be knowing what is VOC. VOC means volatile organic compound. Whenever a paint is applied to a substrate, the liquid portion of the paint during the curing or drying process, the solvent portion escapes to the atmosphere. This solvent portion is known as VOC. So VOC, as you know, is not good for health or environment. So in the first initiative, we are trying to reduce the VOC. We are trying to reduce VOC in our products. We are moving from highly solvented product to low solvent products. We are also moving more to water-based products. In fact, all our decorative products, most of our decorative products are water-based, and hence we have very, very low VOC products. In fact, we have recently launched a product known as Phenomastic Zero. As the name suggests, the VOC of this product is almost zero. And our powder coatings, our powder coating products also do not have any VOC. The second initiative we have taken is reducing hazardous material. Paint might contain some of the hazardous materials which are not good for environment, like, for example, formaldehyde, heavy metals like mercury, cadmium, lead, etc. So these materials are not good for environment, and hence Jotun has removed all these materials from our products. Our products does not have any of these products at the moment. And again, we are not stopping at that point. Sometimes, apart from eliminating products like formaldehyde from our products, we are not stopping at that point. We have recently launched the same product I'm talking about, Phenomastic Zero. This product has a property that it can remove the formaldehyde emitted from other sources, not from paint, other sources like carpets, like tiles or furniture. So our product, this technology is known as formaldehyde abatement technology. What we do is we remove the formaldehyde from air and convert with a chemical reaction the formaldehyde into moisture. The next initiative we have taken is reducing energy consumption. We are doing two things in this respect. The number one is we are trying to reduce the energy consumption in our facilities like factories, warehouses, and our offices. The second thing what we are doing in this respect is we have developed product that has thermal reflectivity property. We have product with high SRA values. If these products are applied on exterior surfaces of your building, the energy consumption will be lesser, much lesser, because the product has the capability to reflect the IR rays back. We have the thermal reflective products in both our decorative assortment as well as in our powder assortment. The next step we have taken is reducing carbon footprint. We are doing several things for this. We have a policy a strategy known as moving towards our customer. So we actually move close to a customer, and we constantly analyze the transportation requirement to reach our customers. We actually optimize these transportation distances by making new factories, by making new warehouses, etc. We also have a strategy of procuring the heavy raw materials locally. So by taking these steps, we will be able to reduce the carbon footprint from our business. Also, we are continuously improving on the electricity consumption as well as the water consumption within our facilities. The last thing we are doing is the reducing wastage. We have several measures to reduce the wastage, as well as if at all wastage are there, we have a program for recycling some of the wastages what we have. So basically, what we are saying is that we are really a socially and environmentally responsible organization. Now let's look into the question, why build green? Why should we go for green buildings? What is the challenges what we have in our conventional type of buildings? Let's start with the population. The global population at the moment is around 7.8 billion, which is expected to reach 9.8 billion by 2050. What is the impact of the growing population? The impact of growing population is that the people move towards cities to get job, to get income. To generate income, they move towards cities. This results in rapid urbanization. If you look at 1975, there were only 3 cities in the world which had a population of more than 10 million, whereas it is expected to have 27 of such huge cities around the world by 2025. Similarly, in 1975, we had only 15 cities with a population between 5 to 10 million, whereas in 2025, we are expecting to have around 48 of such huge cities. The impact is that you can see in Shanghai, the city of Shanghai, it looked like this in 1987, whereas in a span of 5 years, it is looking like this now. So this rapid urbanization is causing new buildings to be constructed because people, the growing population and the rapid urbanization requires more buildings for people to live, as well as people to generate income. So what happens? What is the impact of urbanization? It is established, it is found in studies that cities consume around 75% of the world's energy, and around 80% of the greenhouse gas emission is produced from cities. We probably might have thought that maybe the heavy industries or air transportation sector or mobile, the automobile sector is having maximum consumption of energy. But in fact, that is not true. Cities are actually causing the consumption of energy to a great extent. So if you look at buildings, typically, the carbon emission from buildings is around 38%. The water usage in a typical building is 14%. The waste output can be 30%, and the electricity consumption to the tune of 72%. So these are the negative environmental impacts of construction or making buildings. So what is the solution in front of us? Should we stop making buildings? That is not the solution. The solution is, of course, we have to make buildings, we have to develop, the world has to develop, and then we need buildings. So the only solution is move from a conventional building towards a green building. So let's compare a conventional building and a green building. Is there any real benefit of going towards green building? We will take the same 4 examples of energy, carbon emission, water, and solid waste. If you compare a conventional building to a green building, you can expect a saving of between 24 to 50% in energy usage. The carbon emission can be reduced to the tune of 33 to 39%. The water consumption can be reduced to the tune of 40%. And the solid waste generation can be reduced to the extent of 70%. So these 4 parameters, there is quite a good amount of savings in these 4 parameters. Apart from that, there are a lot of other benefits also. For example, a green building delivers better indoor environmental quality, better indoor air quality. And because of this, there are a lot of other socio-economic benefits like better productivity, lesser absenteeism, lesser hospital days, etc., etc. So basically, what we have seen now is that if we move towards green buildings, the main problems, the challenges of a conventional building and the issues coming out of the conventional building can be really reduced. Now, the next question we need to ask, of course, we saw that there are some benefits for going green. But what is the cost of making a green building? Is it very expensive? Is it much expensive than a conventional building? In fact, the gap between the conventional building cost as well as a green building cost was quite high in the beginning, maybe 10, 15 years back, 20 years back. But over the years, the cost of constructing green buildings have really come down. And a recent study conducted by the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, they did a study on 146 green buildings. And they found that the gap between the cost of a conventional building and the green building has really come down to the extent of 2%, less than 2% sometimes. But it depends on the US certification level. You know that there are several different certification level when you're going for green certification. Like if it is a basic certification, the increase in cost will be only 0.5 to 1.5%. If you're going for a silver certification, the cost increase will be 1 to 2%. And if it is gold certification, the cost increase will be 3 to 5%. And if it is a platinum certification, the cost increase will be 6 to 8%. We have seen that the green buildings are slightly more expensive. Now, let us also look at whether the green buildings can give us some savings in terms of operational cost. Yes, the studies shows that the electricity cost can be reduced by the extent of 25%. The operational cost can be reduced to the tune of 20%. And the water cost can be reduced to the extent of 30%. So overall, we can say that the additional investment of 2 or whatever percentage extra in construction will be paid back between 5 to 10 years. So after the 5 to 10 years, all these operational cost savings is actually a real saving for you. To conclude this part of the benefits of green building, we can say that the green buildings reduce carbon emission, it reduces energy consumption, it reduces water consumption, waste production, as well as maintenance cost. At the same time, it increases occupant comfort, occupant comfort and satisfaction, it improves productivity, it improves building value, and most of the time, it gives you higher rental income as well. Now let's look into the next topic, which is green building standards. There are many green building standards used around the different parts of the world. For example, the leadership in energy and environmental design is a US developed green building standard. It is the most widely used green building standard in the world. The next one is BREEAM. This is a green building standard developed by UK, and this is used in many parts of the Europe. The next standard, Green Star, this is standard developed by Australia. This standard is used in many parts of Australia, New Zealand, etc. The CASB is a standard developed in Japan. It's a Japanese standard. So this is mainly used in Japan, and then you have Al Safad, which is the Dubai green building standard. Estidama is the Abu Dhabi green building standard, and 3-star is the Chinese green building standard. So basically, different parts of the world uses give a different standard for establishing green building standards. This slide shows the geographical spread of different standards. From this, you can understand that the most widely used standard is LEED, which is used in most part of the North America, the South America, India, most part of Middle East, and some part of Africa. So since LEED is the most widely used green building standard in the world, we will restrict our today's discussion only to LEED. In fact, even if there are different green building standards in different parts of the world, the categories of evaluation is mostly the same, like site selection and sustainability, the energy consumption, the water efficiency, material and resource usage, the indoor environmental quality, management, innovation, etc. So the advantage is that even if you have different standards in different parts of the world, since the categories are similar, the advantage is that if you are able to meet the requirement of one standard, it is quite easy to shift to another standard, and it is quite easy to meet the requirements of the other standard. So let's look into LEED in a little bit more detail. As I mentioned earlier, this LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, and this was basically developed in US. This standard looks at three factors, three parameters mostly, which are environment, the occupant's health, and of course the financial return. And this is developed by US Green Building Council. What we need to understand is that what is certified by LEED is not the product. LEED certifies actually projects, because some people have a notion that you can get your product certified by LEED, which is not correct. Only the projects can be certified by LEED. LEED has got different versions. It started from the version 1, version 2, version 3, etc., etc. There are two live versions at the moment. Out of that, one is LEED version 2009. In fact, LEED version 2009 is also going to die now. You cannot anymore register under LEED version 2009. If you have already registered under LEED 2009, if you are able to complete the project by 2021, 30th of June 2021, you will be able to get a certification from LEED. But if you are not able to complete the project by 30th June 2021, they will not be giving you any certification. They will ask you to register again under the latest version, which is LEED version 4. So the registration for LEED 2009 was finished in 31st October 2016, but you can see that there are many projects still running with LEED 2009. Another thing you need to understand is that there are many variants of LEED. For example, a variant for new construction, another one for schools, another one for healthcare, etc. Mostly in our discussion, we are going to focus on the new construction, the variant of LEED for the new construction. So we are now going to go a little bit more in detail about LEED version 4, which is the current version of LEED. So as I mentioned earlier, LEED version 2000 is going to finish by middle of 2021. So all the new projects, if you want to register any new project, it has to be done in LEED version 4. This slide shows the different credit categories under LEED version 4. You can see that there are 8 main credit categories: location and transportation, sustainable sites, water efficiency, energy and atmosphere, material and resources, indoor and environmental quality, innovation, and regional priority. Under each section, there are subsections. For example, location and transportation has got 1, 2, 3, around 8 different subsections. So the points are divided between these several subsections. So you can know that the subsection of the lead for neighborhood and development has got 16 points. And that is again subdivided into different subsections with different point possibilities. Now there is a section known as prerequisite. The prerequisite is nothing but if you want to get a lead certification, that is the basic minimum to have under each section. Some of these sections will not have pre-requirement, but most of the section will have pre-requirement. Some sections will have more than one pre-requirement also. The important thing to understand is that pre-requirement will not have any points or credits. You will not get any points even if you meet the pre-requirements, but it is a mandatory requirement. So credits are given on the different sections, and you can get different points for each of different credits. The maximum number of points you can have under lead version 4 is 110. But you don't have to have all the 110 points in order to get certified. So if you want to certify a basic certification, you need to get only points between 40 to 49. And for silver certification, you need to get points between 50 and 59, gold 60 to 70, and platinum 80 plus. Now, out of the different sections, 8 different sections, Jotun will not be able to contribute to all the 8 different sections. We are actually able to contribute to 3 different sections. The number 1 section is sustainable sites. We have marked, you probably will be able to see a yellow shading here. So under the sustainable sites, the heat island section is one area where we can contribute. Under the material resources section, we have 2 subsections that we can contribute points. That is, one is environmental product declaration, and the second one is material ingredients. We will go in detail how we are able to get these credits under these sections. So as I mentioned, out of the 8 sections, we are able to contribute under 3 sections, which are marked in blue color here. So 2 points from heat island reduction, 1 point from EPD, and 1 point from reach optimization, and 3 points from indoor environmental quality in terms of low VOC products. So totally, Jotun can contribute up to 7 points in a project. At the moment, that is the situation in today. In fact, we are also working for getting more projects, more points in future. So there is a potential for more points in future. So these are the 4 different certification levels of LEED version 4. In a typical project, what is the pain value of the total cost of the project? In terms of percentage, it will be very, very low value between 0.5 to 2%. However, since we are able to contribute 7 points, if you look at this basic certification, 7 by 40, that means we will be able to contribute up to 17.5% of your LEED certification requirement. The pain value is maybe 1%, but still we are able to contribute up to 17.5% of your total LEED credit requirement for certification. Let's look at now how paint and coatings contribute to the LEED V4 points. So as I mentioned, these are the 3 sections where Jotun can contribute. Under the sustainable site section, because of the heat island reduction properties, we will be able to contribute up to 2 points. Under material resources, we will be able to contribute under 2 subsection, material ingredients 1 point, and environmental product declaration 1 point, indoor environmental quality 3 points by the way of reducing the VOC. Let's look into the material and resource category, MR category. This material and resource category basically looks at reducing the environmental impact of using different materials in projects in terms of energy consumption, in terms of transportation, etc. So we will look at the two subsection of MR category. The first subsection is known as MR category, environmental product declaration. This category, in this category, we can get 1 point. Now let's understand what is an EPD. An environmental product declaration is a third-party verified document that declares the environmental and life cycle impact of a product. This development of EPD is actually a very complex process because it considers cradle to gate scenario of all the raw materials used in a product. For example, it looks at the raw material extraction. What is the energy consumed? What is the transportation required from the place of extraction to the factory? And what is the process involved in producing the paint? How much energy is consumed? And what is the carbon footprint of this process? How much of water is consumed? All these matters are considered in developing an EPD. So this is a very complex process. Imagine a case of one of our products. Just for an example, we have a product known as Phenamatic Wonderwall. This product might contain 15 different raw materials sourced from different parts of the world. So we have to look at all these aspects, right from extraction, manufacturing, transportation, deliveries, etc. What are the impacts of energy consumption, water, carbon footprint, etc. on all these points. So this development of EPD is not an easy job. Normally it can take up to 3 to 4 months in developing one EPD. Now, how the point calculation is done under this section. So as I mentioned earlier, each lead section has got a different subsection, and each subsection has also got several options. Lead actually gives you several options, not only one option. So here in the case of EPD also, there are different types of EPD, like products type, product specific type 3 EPD, which is a product specific third-party verified EPD, and then industry specific EPDs, internal verified EPDs, different types of EPDs are there. But Jotun has selected the most stringent type of EPD, which is a product type 3 EPD, which is a third-party verified EPD. This EPD will contribute to the maximum lead point. So in order to get 1 point, 1 credit point under this section, the project has to use 20 different permanently installed products from at least 5 different manufacturers. You cannot use 20 different products from one single manufacturer. You have to use at least 4 different manufacturers. One thing we need to understand is that EPDs are manufacturing site specific. For example, we have this product Phenamatic Wonderwall. If we are producing Phenamatic Wonderwall from 10 different factories in different parts of the world, it is not enough that we have one EPD for this product. We need to have different EPDs for different manufacturing sites. So same product will have one EPD for Dubai manufacturing site, another EPD for Saudi manufacturing site. Fortunately, Jotun today has the maximum number of EPDs, one of the companies which has got maximum number of EPDs in the paint industry. We have more than 100 EPDs. So this means if you are working on a lead project, if we are able to supply to your various paint requirements, as I mentioned, powder coatings, protective coatings, decorative paints, and decorative paint itself, interior systems, exterior systems, floor coating, etc., etc., we will be able to contribute easily more than 10 products. So what, as a lead consultant, you will be able to require only for maybe less than 10 products if you need to meet this criteria. The second credit is known as MR credit, material ingredients. This credit basically looks at what is the environmental impact of using a product in the project, whether there is any ingredients in the material that is dangerous to the environment, dangerous to the people, or any impact to the environment. So this credit also has several options. Jotun has selected an option known as International Alternative Compliance Path, the REACH optimization. REACH is a European standard for regulating dangerous materials or materials of concern to the environment and people. So the REACH has got 3 lists of materials which are restricted to be used in projects. So if your product does not have any of the dangerous or materials of concern mentioned in any of these 3 lists, then you will be able to contribute towards 1 point. So in Jotun, most of our products are containing no materials mentioned in these 3 lists. So you can easily expect 1 point from using our products here. The next credit where we can contribute is known as Indoor Environmental Quality EQ credit. This credit basically looks at the indoor air quality, the thermal quality, the acoustic quality, and these kind of quality of the indoor environment. So for a paint company, what we can contribute is the indoor air quality by the way of using low VOC products. So the credit concerning to this particular section is known as EQ credit, low emitting materials. There are possibilities of 3 points under this section. Both VOC content as well as VOC emission requirements have to be met. VOC content is the VOC of a liquid paint. It is normally mentioned in gram per liter, whereas VOC emission is the VOC emitted from a dried paint into the surrounding air, which is normally measured in gram per cubic meter of air. What we need to understand, the most important thing to understand about VOC is that VOC rules and regulations are applicable only for interior products. The lead does not ask for any regulations for exterior products, except for schools and healthcare. Schools and healthcare also, it is not mandatory requirement, but if you have exterior products with low VOC, you can get some additional credits. Another thing important to understand is that the VOC credit cannot be contributed only by one single type of material or one single category of material. In fact, these 3 points can be achieved only by joint contribution by 7 different categories of material in combination. We will talk about those 7 categories in the next slide. So the VOC content requirement by lead is 100% of the volume. That means all the product used on interior areas have to meet the VOC content requirement by 100%. The VOC emission requirement in the current version of lead, which is lead version 4.4, the requirement is 90% of the volume, whereas there is a latest, again, a new version coming up, which is known as lead version 4.1. In that version, the requirement is actually reduced to 75% by volume. So the VOC emission is actually tested in labs, which are capable of doing this 14-day chamber testing. In fact, this is a very advanced type of test. Normally, we use very advanced lab for this. In fact, we are using a lab in Sweden, which is one of the best lab in measuring the VOC emissions in the world. So these are the 7 categories I was talking about in the earlier slide. So out of the 7 category paint, the interior paint and coatings are one category. Another category is adhesives and sealants. Flooring does not mean floor coating. It means the carpets, the tiles, etc. Then composite wood, ceiling material, the furniture, and for healthcare and school project, exterior paints. So out of the 7 categories, if you are able to meet 2 categories, the VOC criteria are met in 2 categories, you will be able to get 1 credit point. If you're able to meet the VOC requirement from 4 categories, you will be able to get 2 points. If you're able to get 5 categories meet the VOC requirement, then you will get 3 points. So this is the way of evaluating the different credit points. The next category we can contribute is known as the Sustainable Sites SS category. This category basically looks at this building surroundings in terms of the urban heat island effect. This category looks at reducing the urban heat island effect. The urban heat island effect is nothing but the phenomenon of elevated temperature of between 3 to 4 degrees in the downtown areas of a city comparing to the rural surrounding areas. So you can always find that the heart of the city, the downtown area, will be always hotter comparing to the surrounding area because of the large number of buildings and other dark exterior surfaces. Because these dark exterior surfaces reflect the heat rays, and that is kept around the area, and that is the reason for the elevated temperature in this area. So LEED, to mitigate this effect of heat island effect, LEED is suggesting to use thermal reflective material for the external facades of the buildings. So what LEED is specifying is you have to use thermal reflective material on the roof as well as other exterior surfaces of the building. So to evaluate that, LEED specifies a property known as 2 properties basically. One is total solar reflectance, or it is sometimes known as solar reflectance. It is nothing but the percentage of solar energy reflected by the coated surface. Another property important is known as thermal emittance, which is nothing but the ability of a surface to release the absorbed heat. We know that some of the heat rays are reflected back, the remaining is absorbed by the surface, but after some time the absorbed heat is again emitted back to the surface, to the atmosphere. That ability is known as thermal emittance, and the solar reflectance is the combination of the surface, the solar reflectance as well as the emittance. So basically, if you use higher SRA products on the external surfaces, it is estimated that the heat island effect can be reduced considerably. So this credit of SS credit, heat island reduction, it can contribute up to 2 points. So the criteria used, as I mentioned, is solar reflectance index. This criteria basically has again got 2 options. You might feel it a little bit complicated in the beginning, but as you work on a few projects, you will understand the concept easily. But when you look at it for the first time, it might look a bit complicated. So as I mentioned, there are more options. There are several options available. In the option number 1, the possibilities of 2 points are still there. It is known as roof and non-roof measures. In this option, we basically look into three aspects. One is the non-roof measures. Non-roof measures means anything that is not part of a roof, but still will be able to contribute in reducing the temperature inside a building, like pergolas around the building, like canopies. So if all these structures around the building or part of the building, which is not part of roof, is able to reduce the heat by means of having a high SRA value material coated on top of that, then you can contribute to some points. So the SRA value, what is looked in for non-roof measures is a value of 39. The area, the next parameter is the reflectance of roof. That means the roof area. The roof area should have a material coated, a material with SRA value more than 82 if the slope is a low slope, and if the slope is very steep, you can have a lower value of SRA, that is 39. And the other option is area of vegetated roof. So in order to get the points under this section, there is a formula given by LEED. If your product meets this formula, then you will be able to contribute 1 or 2 points. And the second option is parking under cover. If you have parking for the cars around the building, and if the parking is covered with 75% of the parking is covered with coating material with an SRA value of 39, then you will be able to contribute 1 point. Also, there is an option to cover the parking area with a vegetated roof, or it can be covered with an energy generating system like solar energy system. So it might look a little bit complicated, but if you have a material with high SRA value, you can get up to 2 points here. Jotun has several materials, several products which has SRA value more than 82, more than 39, etc., both in our decorative segment as well as in our powder coating segment. So this material is talking about the exterior coverage, not interior. Whereas the earlier one, the VOC was for interior only, and this section is only for exterior. Now we have done many projects for LEED projects. For example, we have done the Masdar in Abu Dhabi. We have done Yas Mall in Abu Dhabi. We have done project for Dubai Electricity and Water Authority. We have done many hotels in different parts of the world. We have done this downtown, Mushrif downtown in Qatar. This project in Istanbul, Turkey. Oman Botanical Garden. Terminal 2 building of Bangalore International Airport in India. And when it comes to Saudi Arabia, we are actually currently doing the Sabiq Jubail main building. And we are also doing the Al Musa Hospital in Al Ahsa area. And we have also done this COSAT Saudi Arabia project. So we are working on other projects as well in Saudi Arabia and other parts of the world. Now, if you are working on a project, a green project, how can you specify a green product in your project? For that, we have 2 solutions. The number 1 solution is that we have our website meant for professionals, which is known as www.jotunprofessionals.com. From this website, you can get all the product information about our various products, and also you can get technical data sheets of our products. But we have even a better solution for that, for you to specify your products in green project, which is another website known as www.jotungbs.com. In this website, you can get the complete information about different products we can propose for different green building standards like LEED or BREEAM. This particular website can also give you a ready-made specification in CSI format for you to download and add to your own specification book. So you don't have to actually create a new specification for paints in your new green project. You can directly go and download it from this particular website. And also, this website will give you all our EPDs. I mentioned that we have more than 100 EPDs to our credit. If you go to this website, you will be able to get the EPDs, copies of all the products what we have EPDs. And we have some information in our technical data sheets also. We have added one section under our technical data sheets known as environmental labeling. Under this section, we are giving details about which are the green building standard this particular product is meeting. For example, here in this case, we are meeting the LEED version 4 EQ credit, the VOC content part, the MR credit, the reach optimization, etc. So from this, our technical data sheets also, you can get an information about what all different credit criteria can be met with our different products. So to conclude my presentation, what we are saying is that paints and coatings represent only a very small fraction of the total building budget, maybe 0.5 up to 2%. but we will be able to contribute up to 17.5% of your requirement for getting certified in LEED version 4. The three sections where we can contribute are these: sustainable sites, material and resources, indoor air quality. In total, Jotun paint and coatings can contribute up to 7 points today, and we are working on to get more points in future. The powder coatings can contribute up to 4 points under the sustainable sites and material resources categories. What we need to understand is that LEED certification is only for projects, not for products. And finally, Jotun has many proven paint systems with many years of track record for long-term protection as well as decoration of your assets. That is what I wanted to present today. So thank you very much for listening to me. Now this is the time for question and answer session. I hope you would have already raised your questions to the admin team. So the admin team can read the questions and I can answer those questions.
Okay, thank you, Engineer Hafiz, for this interesting presentation, and have also popped up many questions. And I can, if you guys have any question, you can send it to us now. We can start working on it and start to making to answer them. So for a start, I will be waiting for the first question to be kicked off. Okay. Okay. Just until the questions pop up and the admin team starts to giving send us the question for now. Thank you, Engineer Hafiz, for the amazing presentation. And it has shown a lot of faces that we have never heard about. Oh, I haven't heard myself about it, but from Jotun, what they are doing for the community, honestly. And basically, as you are doing now, I have seen by the end of the link that there are many websites. In your website, you have launched services for people to see what's happening in your from your side of the world with the material now happening. So can you tell me more a little bit about what's happening with these websites? Because I have clicked that earlier. So
you're talking about the www.jotundbs.com? Yeah, this is a new website what we have developed exclusively for the purpose of helping the people like consultants or owners whenever they are making a green project. To get more information about different green building standards, if you go to this website, you can get an information about different green building standards used in different parts of the world, and what are the criteria of evaluating, how the credit points can be achieved. All this information you can get from this website. And also, as I mentioned earlier, Jotun is contributing under 3 different main categories. So we have also given the list of our products that meet these different categories. So if you go to, for example, if you go to the category known as SS category, you will get the information about which are the products meeting the SS category. And we have also divided this website into different usage type. For example, decorative paints is one section. If you visit that section, you will get the information about all the decorative paints which are meeting the LEED requirement, for example, in terms of interior paints, exterior paints, in terms of various different credit criteria what we have. And also by visiting this website, you can also get the full list of EPDs what we have. You can actually download the EPDs and you can print it if you want to use it, and that is also possible. And we have also sections known as, for example, powder coatings. We have sections for intumescent coating, the fire protection coating. We have industrial coatings. We have floor coatings. We have something known as anti-carbonation coating. So whatever is your requirement, what is the usage type? You select the usage type, go to that section. It will give you a list of the total, the different type of products that meet that particular criteria. And you can download the specifications. For example, if you're working on a project, you want to specify green paints in that project, you can get a link, you can download that specification directly. So you don't have to work on the specification. This is actually in the format of CSI format. So you don't have to basically do anything. You can cut and paste and put it in your specification book.
I imagine that's going to be very helpful for people who's working with that kind of specification. So, okay, if I might bother you with just typing the link, because a lot of people are asking for the link. If you just can tap it for us here in the chat, and we will save it for us also. So
it is very clearly mentioned.
yeah.
Is it 1 second? I'll show that slide again.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Yeah. Are you able to see the slide? This is the website. Yeah. So okay. www.jotungBS.com.
That's fine. So we have got first question, which is, I think this one is related kindly to once they are speaking about how you are excavating and getting the materials by natural aspects and so. And here's the question from one of our guests. Can you elaborate more on how does Jotun contribute in recycling processes, or is it like considering such a thing?
See, recycling in Jotun, we basically, if we have any, for example, if we have any rejections from the site due to any reason, then we get back the rejected material back to the our factory. So mainly we don't have much of the recycling happening because we are actually more focusing on reducing the wastage rather than recycling. So basically we have very limited amount of waste generated during our production process. So if at all we have some waste coming out of some rejections or return material due to any reason, those material is what we are focusing on the recycling. So our approach is reducing the waste more than recycling the material.
I see. So that's very interesting. And also we have another question, which is asking about the main relation of Jotun paints and the nature of building, because the nature of the building itself. So is there any relation between the paint and the nature of the building?
I'm not, I didn't fully understand that question. The nature of building and the paint.
Yeah, if there is any kind of relation between it, because I think this question also comes where in the place of the building itself and the usage of the painting in a way that's in the sustainable way. Is there, I think here what they are mentioning, and I think this is coming from Nada, if she can elaborate more about the question, but what she's meant to, as I can see that she's speaking about the building itself and the kind of used material in that building, in the Jotun building.
See, basically the more concern in terms of using paint is on interior areas, because exterior areas, even if you have some VOC, that will be immediately dispersed into the atmosphere. So so the impact of using a paint product is more on the interior surfaces. So that is why the lead is specifying stricter regulations on interior products in terms of VOC and other chemicals. In fact, if you look at the VOC emission, they are considering several chemicals inside that VOC emission. More than 25 different chemicals are evaluated. So all these chemicals should be within the limit specified by the lead. In fact, lead uses a standard known as CDPH for VOC emission. So under the CDPH regulation, there are many chemicals being considered, and this presence of these chemicals should be within the maximum allowable limits. So that is why the VOC emission plays a big role in indoor environmental quality. And when you have an EPD, that ensures that the environmental impact of a product is very well declared, and everybody knows what is the environmental impact of using a particular product inside a project. So that is why the lead is insisting that whenever you are using a product inside a project, you should have an EPD. So it is not, the EPD is nothing but a document, third-party verified document that declares all the environmental impact of using a product inside a project.
What you are mentioning here, you can find it in the same link you have mentioned earlier about the Jotun bank. You can get into the link and get the specification that can match with the building you are working on, and you can check all the criteria and things that's going to be very useful for the person who's asking the question. That you can use many of these services as Jotun given to the community through some of their platforms, and you can start working on that kind of information to implement in your projects and design. So that's one of the points I could have added to the words you have said. And also there's one more question, which is, it's a bit of a technical, that he's saying, I have received a specification with 100 gram per liter VOC, lead version 4 complaint for exterior steel service of boundary wall. What products can be specified to the project?
In fact, as I mentioned earlier, LEED does not require any VOC requirement for exterior products. So if your boundary wall is considered as an exterior product, so that exterior product does not have any requirement for having any low VOC products. So LEED specifies VOC requirements for only interior products, that too site applied interior products. For example, you have a steel structure which is quoted in a yard outside the site. In those cases, the VOC rules are not applicable. So LEED is only talking about VOC requirements for interior products, and that too site applied interior products. So for your exterior of the surf building, there is no requirement of LEED. Even if the value of the VOC is more than 100, no problem, because LEED has no requirement for that. For the boundary wall also, there is no requirement. For the interior areas, LEED has a requirement of 50 gram per liter. If your product has got a gloss level of less than 5%, okay, and if your gloss level is more than 5, you can have a VOC level up to 100 gram per liter.
I see.
But
So,
very clearly need to understand that no VOC requirement for exterior surfaces.
And there are, as you have mentioned earlier, there are many misconceptions, misunderstanding about that qualifying a material in use and between the system itself and what it does require to be used to use in such a material. So there are two things you need to understand. How is like the systems, as you mentioned, like LEED, BREEAM, what are they requiring, rather than understanding the material itself? Because as you have done in your presentation, you have highlighted where are the areas that Jotun is covering, not every aspect in the design and the LEED certification processes and collecting points, as they're saying. So that's the most of it for tonight. And I think it would have been helpful to just, if you can just copy the link and keep it down there. And it's going to be very helpful. I would like to thank you for being with us tonight. It was a great pleasure to have you. And I would like to thank also Jotun for this opportunity for working with us. We have also, for our guests, we have posted new talks that are collaborating with Jotun just right now with about finishes, and so you can check our Instagram and other social media, and you can check what the new talks that are given. Thank you, Engineer Hafil, for everything. Thank you, dear guests, and we are wishing you a very good night. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good night to all.
Thank you.